I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech-language pathologist, and welcome to TeachMeToTalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week. Are you trying to work with a late talker who has a super short attention span? Or maybe you're working with a child who doesn't seem to like very many toys. You're probably thinking, how in the world am I ever going to teach this child how to talk if he won't listen and pay attention to me? This can be so frustrating for those of us who are therapists and certainly for parents because we're trying to do everything we can to help a child learn to communicate, yet we're met with lots of resistance or even indifference by a child who doesn't seem to want to stay with us and play with us or even listen, much less try to say some new words. So the very first issue that we should tackle in this situation is not the child, it's us. What can we do to make things better? We should do everything we can to make a child want to pay attention. To do that, we have to woo them with our voices, with our faces, and certainly with a loving, fun attitude. And then finally, with activities and toys and materials that have a big payoff for them, not necessarily for us. Now, when we do this, we're addressing a child's underlying motivation, and that's the key to everything. We have to provide reasons for him to want to interact with us. Now, you really can't make a toddler stick with an activity simply by saying things like, "Listen to me," or "You better sit there and pay attention." And with super young kids, you also can't punish them enough to make them cooperative. This always backfires, and it leaves a child so upset and so emotionally dysregulated that they can't pay attention to you or learn from you. So for toddlers and preschoolers with those really micro attention spans, it's best to begin with something that provides a big wow factor for them. And today I want to show you a toy and how I use it that satisfies this really big requirement. It's this cool sphere ball. Now, most toddlers naturally gravitate toward these kinds of toys because they're novel, but sometimes we'll meet a child who doesn't seem to like very much of anything. So let's talk about the mistakes we make when we're playing with a kid like this. Now, you could begin by just showing them the ball and saying something like, "Look, a cool ball." Will that work? No, because you're not giving them any real reason to stop what he's already doing. Instead, you've got to make yourself super fun to listen to and to watch. Now is not the time to be flat or adult-like or expressionless, however you want to think about it. You've got to use an animated tone of voice and really fun, loving facial expressions to give that child a reason to notice you and want to stay with you. Let's look at another common mistake. Some adults, and I've worked with a lot of parents like this, who think to teach a kid how to play is nothing more than just handing them a cool toy and then just seeing what happens. Don't do that either. It virtually guarantees that you are going to be left out. And more likely than not, the child doesn't know how to play with a toy, or else he would be playing with more things. So instead, you're going to keep full control of this very cool ball so that a child does not take it and just go away and leave you out. So you have to play with the ball yourself. And you have to act like you are having the time of your life. Now, once you have his attention, you'll quickly move on to a really cute interactive game. You can make up your own, which I do all the time, or use one of the routines that I'm going to teach you here. Now, here's my very favorite song for this ball that I learned from another therapist many years ago, and let me just sing it for you. And you'll be able to find the words in the post about the video. The link is right there below, but I'll just do it for you right now. So it's a little ball, a bigger ball, a great big ball I see. Ooh, let's make it big again. 1, 2, 3. Now, what have you done with this routine? You've taught a child how to use the toy, but again, you've kept it under your full control so that you are still included. Or if that's too much for you or too much for the kid, and a lot of kids run away from us, again, when we overwhelm them with our words, you can go with something super simple, just like by saying something like, open, shut, open, shut. And again, you want to make it as fun and as exciting and interesting as you possibly can. So be sure to use your voice here to supplement and teach a child what you mean by those words. And that can go a long way in helping him notice you and include you and stay with you. Now, beyond getting a busy toddler's attention with this kind of toy, what else can we work on? Well, we can certainly teach him to say some early words. Now, we can do this by using the little songs and that little routine that I just modeled for you. Your goal here at the very beginning is not for him to start at the beginning and say, a little ball, a bigger ball. That's unrealistic. You want to actually use a concept called backward chaining, and that's where he learns the last word. He fills in the last word of what you're trying to say. And again, this really goes with that whole concept of using verbal routines. So that little song, I'll do it again. A little ball, a bigger ball, a great big ball I see. Ooh, let's make it big again. 1, 2, 3. So what was your target word there? It's 3, and remember you're going to use that anticipatory tone so that after you've played this for a while, you'll pause as you say 1, 2, and then give him that chance. Wait to see if he'll fill in that word 3. And you can certainly do that with the other version of the game where I was modeling the open and shut. Play it a lot, like dozens and dozens and dozens of times, and then begin to pause before you say shut. So you'll open it and say open, and then wait there and see if he's going to pop out the word shut for you. Now again, that method, we talked about backward chaining, but it's also called the close method, where you are pausing and letting him close that phrase that you've used, and it's so effective for many, many, many late talkers. Now another fantastic way to use this toy is to elicit any kind of sound imitation. Now here's my best trick for this. It will not work for every child because some children will be scared to death when you do this. But if you can just put a ball over their head, and their little heads fit better than mine, and then just act like you're going to close it. So you've got it really, really big, and you'll say, uh-oh, uh-oh, uh-oh. And then when it gets closer to their heads, scream, say, ah! And then open it back up really big. Now again, not every kid's going to like that or let you do it, but if you have a kid that's really has a good relationship with you and pretty interactive, it is a super fun way to get a kid to begin to try to imitate your sounds. And you may think, he's screaming. That's not really a word. No, it's not, but it's a start. You have to teach him how to imitate first. Now, I also like using this toy with children who are further along, but to teach size words. So you could come up with a little routine, and little is the operative word here, and say something like, little, 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 big, and really work that in. And you are really demonstrating the concept, the difference between those size words. So great way to work in language for children who are already talking. Now, if you have a kid when you're playing together who is still super hard to engage, while you're using these fun activities, and you are being as fun as possible, let me give you one last tip. A lot of kids who are really busy like this, and certainly our little friends with red flags for autism, or children who have been previously diagnosed with ASD, have some strong visual preferences, meaning that they prefer visual input, or what they can see, over what they can hear. And so I've had such good luck with this toy with those kinds of kids, just playing with it, doing some of the little songs we talked about, and then really working on eye contact by getting the toy between me and them and looking at them, looking at their little eyes as I move the toy into different shapes. And it's so intriguing for children, but it's a great way to get some of that initial eye contact going. So if I've worked with a child throughout a session who's just not with me, who's not really listening, who's not really looking, and again that eye contact is missing, this has been a great way for me to try to get some of that going without taking his little face and saying, look at me. All right, so there you have it. Lots of different ways to use this cool toy with late talkers, and you're targeting your goals of increasing attention and participation, of increasing social eye contact with really specific things like eye contact or social interaction with eye contact, and of course with saying some new words. Now all of those goals though can't start until a child has sustained attention to you. Helping a busy toddler improve his ability to pay attention to another person is a key skill that many late talkers and preschoolers, who are toddlers and preschoolers, don't yet possess. They haven't mastered that yet. And many times parents overlook all of those skills that have to come first. Now, speech language pathologists call these skills prelinguistic skills. Now, don't be afraid of that word if you're a parent. Pre simply means before or first, and linguistics means language. So again, that's kind of spelled out for you. Before words, prelinguistic, and it's so important. There are actually 11 different prelinguistic skills that all kids have to learn before they begin to use their words to communicate. In my latest therapy manual, Let's Talk About Talking, walks you through those 11 skills in a very logical, sequential manner, really easy to understand and easy to follow. This is super useful for parents who are working with their late talkers at home, and it's great for therapists no matter what your setting, whether you're doing a lot of home visits or you're in a school setting or a preschool setting, or whether you're super clinical like in an outpatient program. You are going to find things that you can use in this book. It is full of therapy ideas, but again, it really walks you through not only the idea, but why you're doing it, so you understand why a child isn't talking yet. Since this book's release back in the fall of 2017, I have been flooded with emails from parents and therapists telling me what a difference it's made in their own work with their own late talker or a whole caseload of toddlers and preschoolers with language delays. So I know it's going to be the resource that you reach for again and again and again. Those activities work, and I know you don't want to spend your time and waste your time doing things that aren't effective, and I promise you these things are. If you like the little song that I did with the ball, the song is not in this book, but boy, can I introduce you to lots of other songs. And that's in my very first therapy manual that I wrote back in 2010 called Teach Me to Play With You. And it is filled with so many of these little routines, again, that are designed to teach a child to interact with you, to stay with you, and to learn from you. All right, if you want more information about these products, you can get that at the link below, and it will take you directly to my website, teachmetotalk.com. And I've also included a link for the ball. If you want this toy and want to get it off Amazon, that link is right there for you. All right, that's all for today. I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech language pathologist, and thank you so much for joining me for TeachMeToTalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week.